Hi everyone, I'm Rosie and welcome to Vox Yoga. So this is a video all about alignment. We're not going to do any yoga flows or anything. We're just going to pick apart and think, what does our body need to be doing when we are standing up straight? So this is going to be mountain pose or Tadasana, which when we come to sing is really what we think of when we say, let's have good alignment. Now I'll start off by saying, everyone's body is different. Everyone has their own natural curve of the spine. Everyone holds tension differently. Everyone's joints, bones, muscles are different. So this is kind of going back to basics, but you might find that you need maybe more of a tilt in your pelvis than someone else does, more of a bend in the knees to avoid locking. So take all of this, but try it and see how it works for you. So this video would be really good to do actually once you've just done a yoga flow. When we're doing yoga, we're really moving the spine, warming up the body, releasing any unnecessary tension, getting rid of any sticky bits. So if you can, go and find a nice yoga flow to do, one of mine or someone else's, or do your own practice, and then come to this video and work your way through to just check in with the body and see if you can find your alignment. So we're going to work our way from the ground upwards. So first of all, we want our feet hip width apart. So what is hip width? They used to teach mountain pose or Tadasana with the feet together. But for a lot of people, particularly people with wider hips, maybe women, find that a bit uncomfortable. And if you're singing, you don't have the stability. So we do want our feet hip width apart. In general, if you find the bony bits of your hips, that's where your femur, these bones, are going to be hanging from. So actually, that's more likely to be hip width than going from the fleshy part of your hips. So going down from there, that's going to be about hip width. A Pilates teacher once told me this as well, but I don't know the research or if it's true. But, oh, it does actually match up with what I'm doing. The length of your foot is also hip width, which feels good for me. So play around with it and then think about your feet. Imagine you've got roller skates on, you've got those four corners, and that's where you're grounding down into the floor. So we're just going to shift the weight kind of forward and back. So you just get used to how the weight feels throughout the feet, and you'll feel where you start to lose your balance as well. And then it's finding that middle position. What's in the middle that works for you, helps you feel steady. If you just lift the toes as well and you still feel nice and grounded, you know that you're in a good spot. So next up, the legs. We want to keep our legs nice and strong, but not overworked. And we just really want to make sure that we don't lock or hyperextend the knees, as that's going to tip our pelvis in a strange way. So first of all, just really straighten your legs fully and then bend the knees. Straighten and bend. And then just stand up straight, whatever that means. We are not straight. But keep that tiny micro bend. So we want the knees soft. The quads are going to naturally be slightly engaged. When we're singing, it might be that sometimes we're doing a phrase. I find if I'm like belting, I want to move my foot slightly forward. So I'm not saying we get stuck like this. You might be dancing, moving around the stage, but this is just to come back to. So yeah, keeping that light, nice micro bend in the knees, and think of your bones just being really stacked on top of each other. So our pelvis position is really important when it comes to our spinal health and our alignment. So if you just stand on tiptoes and imagine you're wearing heels, you can, unless you're really used to wearing heels, you can feel your pelvis really tilts. And then if you drop the heels, you can feel that it comes back to a more neutral position. Then if you actually stick your butt out, you'll feel it tilt the other way. And actually, it's going to be different for everyone. Heels, depends where your weight is being held. But we really need to watch out for the position of our pelvis, as then our abdominals and our belly are so, a part of that area really, and we need to protect our lumbar spine. So again, keeping the knees lifted, quads slightly engaged. Think of the tailbone drawing down, and an ever so slight tuck in the pelvis might help you if naturally you're tilting the other way. But we'll just try and find our neutral. So imagine you've got a bowl of water that's sat on your pelvis, and you're just tipping the water. But then you want to make sure it's level so the water doesn't spill out each time. So slowly making that action smaller. And you'll find ultimately where feels the best for you. You might think, oh, naturally, I do have a tilt one way or the other, but I might need to modify that a little bit. We want to keep lots of length in the lumbar spine as well, so we can work to release and engage our abdominals when we need to. So it can be quite tiring doing this actually, because you're really thinking about it, even though we're just kind of stood still. But it's just checking in with our bodies. So they say in yoga that each posture or asana comes from Tadasana. So when you're in one of these yoga poses next time, think about which part of my body is in Tadasana. If you're in plank, actually, your legs, torso, neck, everything will be in Tadasana, and it's just your arms that will be forward. So it's coming back to how it feels. Your legs might be extended or flexed, but your torso might still be in Tadasana. So it's just coming back to check in with your alignment, as yoga is all about finding alignment. The physical side of yoga is about finding alignment. So the rib cage. We want to try and keep the rib cage nice and lifted. That doesn't mean chest out too much, but it's to avoid that slump and that drop. So we want to have a nice distance and space between our pelvis and the bottom of our rib cage so that we can be in control of our abdominals. We want to keep the belly soft, but be able to switch on that engagement of the core when we want to. So it is keeping that expansion across the chest so we're not collapsing. And again, it's just finding that neutral that works for you. Shoulders obviously nice and released. So having the hands by the side is really great. And then one exercise I always do at the start of singing lessons with my students is put the shoulders up to the ear, inhale, exhale, drop. And it just feels great, and it gets the shoulders into that nice, relaxed space. Just check in with your body. Are you locking your knees right now? It may be that actually, because you're thinking about something else, you've gone back to maybe sinking into one hip, locking the knees, not thinking about your feet. So just, again, have a little hip circle and then find that neutral in the middle. Almost there. Head and neck. So we want to keep the neck nice and long. So it is the top of our spine, the cervical spine. So each vertebrae is just stacked on the next. In yoga, we talk about bringing the chin back to keep the ears over the shoulders. If we're vocalizing, it might be that you feel you want a bit more space, and we will be using, the jaw in different ways, but ultimately it's feeling that lift up. I have so many singing students that their tendency is to really stick forwards. So we sing against the wall, and that's a really good place to find alignment as well. So it may be that you're just reaching forwards, so moving the chin back slightly. And then once more, just check in with your body, working from the ground all the way up. So this is a really good time to shut your eyes and think, where am I holding any tension? So it's likely, I mean, this is true, most of the muscle groups are going to be lightly engaged at the moment. I like to use the word engage instead of tension. I think tense doesn't sound, it has more negative connotations, but they are holding some tension to keep us held up. But have you got any unnecessary tension that you need to get rid of? Where can you soften? We all naturally hold tension. Mine's in my shoulders. I once went to walk off stage from a choir performance and I realised I'd had my knees locked for the last 10 minutes because I was almost sight reading and I was in a live performance and walking off. I thought my legs felt like jelly because I'd just locked the knees. This was years ago. So it's just coming back and thinking, where do I naturally hold this tension that I want to get rid of? So it's having a sense of spaciousness, softness, but engagement, feeling present. So anytime you find your standing alignment, just work your way up, do a little body scan and just think, what do I need to be thinking about? The more yoga you do, naturally your alignment will improve. And actually once you've moved the joints and moved the muscles in a flow, you'll find mountain and most things will just click into place, which is what we want. So this has been a bit of a different video today, but I hope it's been informative and I hope that it's helped you. And please let me know if it has. I release videos every week. These are to do with yoga, singing, yoga and singing. Sometimes we sing while we do yoga. So let me know what you want to see more of. And please hit subscribe so you don't miss out. You can check out my social media and website. All the links are in the description box below. Thank you for watching and I hope to see you again soon.